Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Wolves Report online, Leicester. And thank you for joining us for episode 159. Tonight, we're going to give you our double player and match analysis of the two encounters with Liverpool. One good, one not so good. We're going to ask the question, why is Rob Edwards splitting the fan base? Take some of your questions and look ahead to Brentford. Just the two of us tonight. Tyler's too busy arguing with Adrian Durham on TalkSport, but that's just what he's gone. Fame's gone to his head. So here we are. Me, Ryan Lester, your host, alongside our club captain, Nocky. Nocky, straight down to business. Let's start with the positive. Wolverhampton Wanderers 2, Liverpool 1.
Wasn't really expecting this result, especially against Liverpool. There's just a team that we don't do particularly well against. I think they'd beaten us 16 times out of the last 17 in the league, which is horrendous, really, for any club. I looked at the setup. I wasn't particularly happy. I didn't understand why we didn't play Tolu. And then the first half was probably as boring a half as you could ever imagine. There was just nothing happen, really. But then you could kind of see the game plan. You could see what we were trying to do. It was a case of staying in it, making sure we were tight and compact, and don't give anything silly away. And then Liverpool are probably going to commit in the second half, which is exactly what they did. We found space around them. We broke a couple of times, and we were absolutely ruthless. So I think tactically we were as close to perfect as you can possibly be. We were really disciplined. The shape was good. Defensive lines were good. Armstrong, I thought, was excellent with the way that he held the ball up and dropped into space and just made life difficult. I thought Stewart was excellent as well. And then the substitutions all made us better as well. And we scored, one absolutely fantastic goal and one lucky goal that has probably been coming for a few weeks. We've not really had that luck. I thought tactically we were excellent. I think if you look at Liverpool's record of conceding late goals, they've done it quite a few times this season. So whether that was playing into Rob Edwards' mind that if we can just stay in the game and stay compact, that maybe we'll get chances, I don't know. But tactically, I thought it worked really, really well. We limited them to very little. They're always going to create chances. They've got good players and they're champions of England, aren't they? So you know that they're going to bring a little bit of a threat with them. But we managed it really well, limited them to very little in terms of clear-cut chances. And I think on the balance of players, I think, it'd be hard to argue that Wolves didn't deserve the points because it was really well organised. So, yeah, really pleased with that. It was a surprise as well. We don't beat Liverpool when we're playing well. So when we're in the situation we're in to turn them over the way we have, and last 3 home games we've drawn with Arsenal, beat Villa and beat Liverpool. I think it's difficult to find any negative around that. So yeah, really pleased all in all. It was a solid performance.
Yeah, it's hard to argue tactically. It was spot on. There was an admittance from the tactics in the first half that if you go toe to toe with Liverpool, you're going to get done. So basically, it was spoil the game, and we pretty much did that the first half. I think we had any shots. I think Wolves pretty much scored with their first shot on target. So that's quite impressive. So as you mentioned, then the game did get more stretched. Wolves went on, and tactically, Nocky, I would argue that, yeah, you're right. I'm not sure on the balance of play. Wolves deserve to win, but this is football. If you don't take your chances, somehow they've managed to overhead kick the ball on the line to clear it away. But
that's bizarre, that one.
Yeah, it's crazy. But as you've mentioned, how many times have we talked about having bad luck and being on the end of a tight game? And it was a game that, yeah, Wolves were second best technically, but you have to give credit to Rob for this because it was stay in the game, late on attack the game, see what happens, and Wolves capitalised.
Yeah, well, we're bottom of the league, aren't we? We've had no luck this season. Everything's gone against us. Teams are punishing us for every mistake we made. It happened in this game as well when Belgo gave the ball away. But it was nice to have a little bit of luck go our way. The one off the line, I've never seen anything like that before. Curtis Jones is literally going to chest the ball into the net from a yard out, and they've managed to clear it themselves with an overhead kick. One of the strangest things I've seen in the game. But I think there's an argument that we probably made our own luck based on the way that we attacked the game and the discipline and the game plan that we had. And that's a good Liverpool side. I know they're not having the best of seasons, but there's still lots and lots of quality in that team. They spent something like £200 million in the window. And
on 2 players, I think.
On 2 players. They've got Mo Salah, who's been one of the best players probably ever in the Premier League, and they've got so much quality. So they're always going to be the better team, aren't they? They're always going to create more threat than we are, but you've got to stay in those games. And don't make it easy for them. How many times this season have we given soft goals away and we've seen that soft underbelly? And you can't afford to do that against a team like Liverpool, because if you give the first goal away, as we found out the other night, you give the first goal away to a team of that quality, they're going to go on and punish you. So you've got to be disciplined and you've got to be organised. But you can't just win a game like that with luck. You've got to have a little bit of quality. You've got to be tactically right. And the stars have got to align for you a little bit. And I think that happened. And the way that we did play, I kind of do think we deserve to win the game because of the way we approached it and the adversity we've been through this season. You know, they get a late equaliser. I think everyone in football was expecting there was only going to be one winner after that. But we dug in, we worked hard. We didn't just sit back. We thought there was something else for it. We tried to push forward and we got ourselves a reward. So, yeah, I'm really proud of that performance. That was a very, very brave performance from a team that have been through a hell of a lot this season.
Yeah, it was. The one thing that did impress me is when, in that kind of situation, when you're bottom and you're playing a superior team, when you are the inferior side and you concede like that, you kind of feel that the best teams go on and win it. But Wolves were brave. And yes, it was a little bit of luck from Andre. But how many times have we said in those positions, if you don't shoot, you don't score? How many times have we seen one, like the 2 goals against Newcastle, bouncing off Dawson's head and curling into the top corner? We've had a go and luck favoured us. An absolute credit for the players, not only Rob, for the team, pushing on late in that game, suffering the heartbreak for an equaliser. You're thinking we're going to lose now, but they've gone on and won the game. And that's credit to everyone's mentality.
Absolutely. I mean, it's probably Andre's first shot that stayed in the ground, isn't it? Normally, we send them into the car park. So, but he's deserved that because I thought he worked really hard. And you've got to give him credit for the selection as well to change that midfield round a little bit, to change it round up front, play with the wing backs, just to do things a little bit differently. I think we all looked at the starting 11 and thought, that just doesn't look right. But it worked, and it was set up to not give Liverpool an advantage, to stay in the game and make sure you're not a couple of goals down at half-time because the game's gone at that point. So I think a lot of people deserve credit. The setup was right. The players were really organised, but they've got to deliver that tactical plan, and they've got to make sure they stay in their shape, stay in the system, and stay competitive in the game, and they did that. So we've had a lot of negatives this season. We've had a lot that's gone wrong for us, but you've absolutely got to pick the positives out of that performance because there was so much to be pleased with and to be proud of. And the situation we're in, it is really easy for players just to switch off at this point, already be looking for moves to other clubs. They haven't done that. They've stayed with it, and that's credit to them and that's credit to the manager as well, because I'm not sure that was the case a couple of months ago. It felt like everyone had given up, and we've used some...
Jack, I also think that the Matt Doherty comments that Daz mentioned on the show, that followed by the transfer window, it all felt they're sort of aligned, and who knows what would have been capable of if we were playing like with the determination we are now, an organisation 2 months ago. Who knows? I still think it's a relegation squad. It's too little, too late, but it's 99.9% that Wolves are going to get relegated. But in the league, as you say, Nocky, coming back from 2 down against Arsenal, beating Villa, beating Liverpool, most of the top sides will be grateful for that run. I'm grateful, but equally, and I know this doesn't sound ungrateful saying it, but I am a little bit frustrated because they've shown what they're capable of. And in those games where I think this squad is more suited to those underdog kind of games, when you're tucking in and spoiling and taking your chances, it is showing what they're capable of. Now, I think Tyler said a while ago that this side shouldn't be cut adrift to the bottom of the Premier League, and I completely agree. But I do think it's a relegation side. However, those performances against the better teams and those results tell me that this squad has been underachieving for a long time.
I think it has, but if you were to do a league table from 1st of January, we'd be sat in the middle of the table. So it has been a team that's taken a lot of bomb damage, and I think Edwards isn't innocent in terms of some of the damage that he's created. But at the same time, he came into a club that was on its knees. The fan base was so split. There was protests. There was all sorts going on. So many frustrations. I don't think you can change that overnight. I think it takes time, and it takes it just takes time to change that mentality around and make the players believe that they are actually good footballers and they can play. And you're coming in on 2 points in November. You're never going to fix that in a few weeks. And I think you just want to see incremental improvements. You want to see things just slightly different than you were seeing. And we've seen that. We've lost that that easy to beat mentality that we had. We've lost that kind of collapse when we concede a goal. How many times have we capitulated when we've given a goal away? He's put just little things in just to make us a little bit stronger, and he's worked on those 5 and 10%. And we are looking a better side now. We are looking more organised. We're still going to lose game. We were bottom of the league in November for a reason, weren't we? Because we just weren't good enough. But we've cleared out Strand Larsen and we've improved since we've got rid of him. And I think it's a bit of a lesson that when you've got players that don't want to be there, they can cause a bit of friction. They can cause some problems in the dressing room. But since we've cleared him out, we seem to have a little bit more togetherness, is how it feels to me. So, yes, we're still in the relegation zone. And I know the argument is that we're more adrift now than we were when he came in. But for me, the argument is probably that this team was never really good enough. So we weren't too far adrift because we haven't played that many games, whereas now the games have caught up and we're probably where we should be. But to see the improvements that we're seeing now, and I do think if Edwards had been there at the start of the season, I don't think we would have gone down personally. I think we've shown that we've got a bit of a backbone and a bit of a fight about us, and there's enough in that squad to get us out. We just haven't been able to harness that until this point in the season, unfortunately.
Now, I know on the group chat we're quite split on the Rob Edwards conversation. We've got Tyler one side, me somewhere in the middle, and you on the Rob side. And don't get me wrong, I want Rob to succeed, but I do have my reservations. But I mean, I admire you calling that. Then you think Wolves would probably stay up. I still think Wolves have been a relegation battle. I think they'd be put more like probably where sort of Forest, West Ham are, and we'd still be in danger of relegation. But you're probably right. We probably do have more. But yeah, credit to Rob. Let's talk about a couple of things in that game, particularly Wolves' opening goal. And I wasn't expecting it, the noise for that opening goal when Wolves took the lead. And I've got to be honest, what a tremendously well-worked goal. I was frustrated that Tyler didn't start, but he put it up. A little bit of bullying Van Dijk. Nobody really does that. He's fed Rodrigo in with his left foot. Rodrigo somehow managed to, for me, probably hit it with his wrong foot, but instead he's gone with his right. And it's the way the ball is in the angle, it's managed to dink it over the keeper. And that is a beautiful goal at any level.
It is. And Tolo's such an interesting character because there's some days where he's a complete pussycat when it comes to being up. He doesn't want to engage, doesn't want to get involved. But when he came on against Liverpool, he beat them up. I've never seen Van Dijk ragdolled the way that he was in that game. He kept playing on him. He kept attacking him. He kept dropping a shoulder when the ball was coming in. He made it really uncomfortable. And then it was just a nice professional little nudge just to give him a yard to control the ball, bring it down and play him in. That ball's got to be right, otherwise he's got nothing to run onto. But I thought Rodrigo's first touch was really important because it just cut him inside as opposed to moving away from the goal. And then that finish is quality against the goalkeeper of that standard, just to dink it over the top of him the way he did and hit that far corner. It was brilliant. And it was... How many times have we said this season that Molineux is absolutely desperate to support this football team? They're absolutely desperate to get behind them. And you heard the noise against Villa when we won that game and we scored the goals. And it felt the same against Liverpool. And we were all together as one. The noise was absolutely incredible. So it was a brilliant moment. I think having the kind of mentality I have with Wolves at the moment, you're kind of thinking there's a good chance here we can get a point after we've got that goal. I didn't really think we'd go on and win it. But they were brave and they kept going forward. But I thought that the goal itself was absolute quality, and it was the first time we'd really put them under that kind of break and that kind of movement, and to move the pace and the ball the way we did was just it caught them out. And I don't know how Rodrigo ended up on his own, to be completely honest, but when he's got there, it's just a fantastic finish.
Yeah, I mean, Rodrigo, he's such a confusing footballer to me because he starts a game, he never really gets up to the pace of it, but for me, and again, I think this is crediting Tyler what he said, he impacts a game so well late on, and he goes and he goes and he goes and he's pressing, and he's got a smile on his face. And that look on his face when he scores a goal, Knocky, it's the look that me and you would have if we scored our first goal for Wolverhampton Wanderers. He's completely infectious. I hope he's at Wolves in the Championship next season, but still, Knocky, I don't know where he plays.
I think there's a proper player there. I really think there's a good player there. He's got so many attributes. His work rate's incredible. He makes those really intelligent runs at the right time. He doesn't overcommit. He doesn't get himself caught out. He just makes it at the right time. And I do think at the moment he's not in a position to affect games from the start. But if he stays next season, he's absolutely going to be starting games, and I think you'll see the best out of him. And a year in the Championship for him might do him a lot.
Regular football would do him the world of good because he's had a couple of injuries. He's been unlucky, but he just seems to be one of those players that has a knack of being in the right place at the right time and scoring a goal. Now, that's the most valuable thing in football. Do I think he's a forward? I'm not sure, but he just nip up in the right places. But moving
I think
on,
he can play. I think he can play further forward. I see him almost in the Jota role. I think he's got that, but he's not going to be at that level because we know Jota was really special. But I think he can play wide of a three in attack. He's got that. He's got that nous about him where he can pop up in the right place. He did it against Villa. He did it against Liverpool. He's done it a few times. I think if we were to play him in that position next season in the Championship, if he wants to stay, I think he gets you 10 goals because he's just got that movement and that ability. And I think he's at a stage in his career now where he needs to be starting games. He needs to be playing regular football. If he's not going to do that for us next season, then he's never going to do it. But I think it'd do the world of good to play for us next season in that league. 'Cause he's going to get so much more of the ball. He's going to be able to push higher up. He's going to be a real threat for teams in that division. I think he's going to cause some damage.
Yeah, I hope he is there. He's got all the characteristics, hasn't he? He's got a little bit of pace. I mean, I think he showed really good pace as well for breaking away because those Liverpool centre-backs are no slouches. But shortly after that goal, it was a little bit of heartbreak and you thought, here we go. For me, a player that I really like, probably give his worst pass of the season. We backed off and then Sarr's beaten in his near post. I like Sarr. I think he's better than Johnson. I think he's got to do better there. And Bellegarde's pass is absolutely criminal in your final third.
Yeah, I was frustrated actually because I really like Bellegarde, and I think since he's got himself back, he's changed our dynamic in that midfield. He's made us more of a threat, and he's allowed Andre and Gomez to push on a little bit and feel a bit safer because they've got them legs around them. But I don't know what he's trying to do there. It was a really strange decision. He's kind of just turned back inside, played into no man's land. And I do think Sarr should have saved it. It's not the most ferocious effort. He's just outside of the foot, clipped it, and it's gone under him. But that was probably the only thing Sarr actually did wrong. He made an absolutely sensational save from that young kid they've got on the left wing. He was brilliant, by the way. Someone should have snapped him a lot earlier than we did. But he made a brilliant save in that one. He was good other than that. But yeah, I think from his point of view, he's going to be disappointed because that should be bread and butter for him. We know how good he is shot stopping wise. He saves that probably 9 times out of 10, but it was just unfortunate he wriggled through.
And then we're thinking, Wolverhampton Wanderers, we've had a bit of fun, we've hung on, we've been brave, but Liverpool are angry now. And in the last minute, Andre with his double deflection goal, Alisson's head drops, the South Bank goes crazy. That was a proper celebration, Knocky. For a game again, yeah, it just shows these last few games, the Molineux roar, that 2-2 against Arsenal, the second goal against Villa, the second goal against Liverpool, that noise coming back to Molineux regular again. Oof, it's giving me goosebumps talking about it. But it was good, wasn't it?
It was a great moment, and
honestly, it's giving me goosebumps just talking about it. Then
it was strange. I mean, when you see a Liverpool team who were 1-1 in injury time, sitting so deep when we had the ball, no one engaged him. He just kind of bimbled his way up, and when he hit it, it almost felt like an out of body experience because the ball seemed to take about 25 minutes to hit the net. It just floated up and dropped in, and it was fantastic. The noise around us, and obviously I've got where I sit, the Liverpool fans are right underneath me, and you could just see them en masse disappear out the gate. And it was just, it was an incredible feeling. And we've been starved of that this season, haven't we? We haven't had many moments like that. So to have back-to-back home games when we've hit the killer goal in the last minute like that, it's just an incredible feeling. And as a fan base, I think we deserve that for what we've been through and all the disappointments and the late goals we've conceded. And to do it against a team of that quality. And I know that they're not hitting the heights they were last season, but they're still a quality team. They're still champions of England. And to turn them over the way we have was a fantastic feeling. And I was really pleased for Andre because he's never a player that's threatened to score, but we know he does a good job for us. So to see him rattle one in the 94th minute and win the game, it's great for him. It's great for us.
Yeah, absolutely. It was such a good night, and it's good to be back again. It's just a comment up here, and I don't even know what it means. He says, Ryan, let's have a membership, please. I don't know what you mean. You'll have to send me a tweet or a message. I don't know. I've gone to the wrong group chat. I don't know what you mean by membership. I don't know if you're talking about charging. I'm certainly never going to do that, but I don't know what you mean. Let me know. But this is episode...
Is he asking for a paywall?
Free to the Wolverhampton Wanderers fans. No, I can't do that. Oh. This is episode 159 of the Wolves Report. Mark Knock and myself Ryan Lester. We are trying to continually grow the show. If you follow some of these, if you don't, I would really, really appreciate it if you could sort of jump along, like, subscribe, follow. We're now on X, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and Instagram as well. We've got the full set. Noki's got the account to TikTok. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to leave Noki in charge of that. That's one for the kids, not for me. So I don't really know that. But yeah, if any follows, likes, retweets, it is great. It helps us grow the show each week, and it is really appreciated. So if you would be so kind, it would be very much appreciated. If you follow already, that's much appreciated as well. Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening, Wolves 2, Liverpool 1. What I would say, though, Noki, and I want to make it really clear, Tuesday night was not my priority. Did I enjoy it? Did I enjoy that injury time goal? Oh, boy, I did. But I have to say, that was not the priority for me. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. And I think now we might have some differing views on the game against Liverpool on Friday. What I would say is, if you've beaten a team who are superior to you, and you've outfought them, outhoused them, they're going to be a bit angry. And I did think, Noki, on Friday night, we did get a better version of Liverpool who looked a little bit angry, did not appreciate losing to Molineux a few days before.
Yeah, that was definitely a different version of Liverpool. I think tactically we tried to do the same. We tried to kind of stay in it the first half and then maybe push in the second half, but they were coming at us in that first half and they were putting us under pressure, creating chances. We did sit quite deep, and then the second half kicked off, and I think we tried to push ourselves into the game a bit, but the first time we did it, I think it was Bellegarde or Chichua, I think it was Chichua, put in a terrible ball into the box. They cleared, broke on us and banged it 1-0. And we were chatting at half time about it, and I thought, and we said, if they get one here, they're going to get a couple of goals, because it felt like that kind of game. It didn't have the same feeling as the league game. I was worried about it from the start because they looked different. We looked a bit leggy. We didn't have an outball at all. It just kept coming back. But they were a different animal. They showed some genuine quality. And I think it did hurt them losing against us. I think it's a bit embarrassing when you lose to the team top of the league, bottom of the league. So they were trying to put that right. But they were very, very good, and they put us under pressure. We couldn't get out. And you were just sort of waiting for that first goal. And as soon as they got it, it was curtains after that. I think the only really disappointing thing for me was how soft the goals were. We've kind of got those kind of goals out of our system in recent weeks, but all three goals felt very avoidable and very cheap. And you can't give a team like Liverpool a head start. And we're not the sort of team at the moment that's got the quality to come back from a goal down. So if you get that first goal away, you're probably going to lose. And as soon as they smelt blood, they just came at us and they tore us apart. And Andy Robertson, he's a player who can't get a kick for them, but he completely turned the game in the second half. He ripped us to pieces because he's a quality player, and that's the difference in having a squad we've got where we can bring players on, but we're probably not bringing on the same level of quality. They can go like for like in terms of quality, and we couldn't stay with them really.
Yeah, it's certainly an angrier version, a more efficient version, because what I would say on Tuesday is, although Wolves were second best until Liverpool scored, we were kicking them up in the air, we were angry, we were hungrier. I don't think Wolves were as hungry as Liverpool. I think they had a real point to prove, and I think they wanted it a little bit more. And that, for me, was a little bit disappointed. I think someone mentioned earlier on in the comments, we looked quite passive. I'd almost say at times a team that was waiting to lose. Now, that might be a bit harsh. I've praised them for Tuesday, but it just felt to me on Friday, Noki, that we did sat back, we tucked in, and that ability to break wasn't there. That bravery wasn't there. And I don't think, for whatever reason, the belief wasn't there. Now, for me, Noki, that comes down to a couple of things. Obviously, you can't help Andre being suspended. He was fantastic in the week, and obviously got the goal as well. But to leave out Armstrong, a player that's an absolute pain in the arse, who doesn't stop pressing, who will track you down or tackle you out of play, who's making the runs and opening it up for other people, I think he was a big loss. I didn't get that. Now, apparently Jose Sarr was injured. I bet he's in goal on Monday night, and he started on Tuesday. So I think that might be some face saving and keeper rotation. Happy to be corrected if I'm wrong on that. But But yeah, it doesn't make more sense. But the biggest one for me, Nocky, the biggest confusion of them all was Ladislav Krejci. Now, for me, he's not our best defender. He's our best player, I would say. He's, for me, probably been our most, I mean, it's not a high bar, but he's probably been our most consistent player this year. And Wolves look a different team, football-wise at the minute. So to put him out on not playing, I just can't make any sense of that. It just, for me, I think there's a missed opportunity. Would Wolves have lost to Liverpool anyway? Yes. But I didn't understand Rob Edwards' selection. And I've got to be honest, I've got to call it out. It was a disappointing performance and a disappointing outcome.
Yeah, I think there's quite a bit to unpack. So if we start with the work rate and the effort, and I kind of disagree a little bit. I think it was there. I think they did try to press. I think they did try and push on. But they were a wounded animal, weren't they? We'd affected them, we'd hurt them. And they wanted to come back at us and get that result. And I think you have to look squad-wise as well. We had 3 games in a week. That's a lot for a club like us with the squad we've got to really affect them. They could rotate, and they did rotate. They didn't play Ekitike. They brought Andy Robertson in. So they rotated as well, but they've just got more quality to do it than we have. Krejci, I completely agree. I don't really understand, unless there was an injury, why he wouldn't start the game. He was sent off a couple of weeks ago, so he's had a bit of a rest. So that one I really couldn't understand. And Armstrong, for me, he's a player who he doesn't score goals, but he creates problems up there. And for me, he starts every game if he's fit. But I don't know where we were. Were any of the players redlining? Were any of the players close to injury? Was there a few niggles, a few knocks? You just don't know because the club haven't told us. But I think in terms of work rate, fight and effort, I think it was all there. I just don't think we could get out. They pressed us. They pushed us higher. They were more of a threat. The wide positions, they really pegged us back and we couldn't get our wing backs up. Andre, for me, was a bigger loss than Krejci because he was such a difference maker. When we had the 3 of them in midfield and we had him, Gomez and Bellegarde, we had a foothold in the game, and I think we won that midfield battle. Without him in there, we were a little bit bypassed in that area, and if you lose that midfield against a team like Liverpool, and then you've got the wing-backs pushing up, and then defensively they're stepping up 10 yards, you're going to struggle to get out. So I get your points, but I don't think there was a lack of belief or effort. I just think we physically couldn't get out. I just think they pinned us in, and they showed their quality, and it was a different version of Liverpool, and I just don't think we were good enough to cope with it.
Yeah. Can I accept losing to Liverpool? Absolutely, I can. I know where we are as Wolverhampton Wanderers at this place in time. But I would say, Nocky, that I don't think we did give ourselves the biggest opportunity to do something in that game. Is it sustainable to play that level with intensity that we did on Tuesday night? Of course not. It's not. And Wolves won that game not on talent. They won it on grit and determination and the belief. But that putting that much emotion and that much effort in, you can't do that twice a week because we just don't have, anybody has the sort of mentality, mental strength or physical strength to do that. And that's when you need technical players. And I think that's one of the reasons why on Friday it was easy for Liverpool, because we didn't have the legs anymore because we put so much into Tuesday. And then when the better footballers are allowed to play, because you're a little bit knackered. But would we have lost anyway? Probably. But I'd like to have seen Armstrong play. I'd like to have seen Krejci play. I'd like to have seen Sarr play. I just don't think we did enough, Nocky. And again, I'm not complaining about losing to Liverpool because they are better than us. And it's been a fantastic month at home. Arsenal, we mentioned, Villa, fantastic. Liverpool Tuesday night, fantastic. For me, and again, people will stop moaning because we've won. I think he prioritised the wrong game. And if he starts talking about, oh, well, it was tired and that to rotate, well, prioritise the game and rest the players who are potentially red zoning on Tuesday. That would be my opinion, Knocker.
See, I get what you're saying, but I would rather have had the league points because I don't think we can win the cup anyway. And I wanted us to get as many points as we can so we've got that momentum going into next season. I'm not saying you're wrong, but you're always going to split opinions. Some people are going to think the league's more important because we're still in it mathematically, and some people are going to think that cup's more important. I think what it does show is the fact that we're disappointed that we haven't beaten Liverpool for a second time in a week. Shows you that there are improvements in the squad. Because if you go back a few weeks when we were getting beaten comfortably by teams like Bournemouth and Brentford, and it was easy. Leeds were beating us, Burnley were beating us. We're now more competitive. It's a big ask to beat Liverpool twice in a week, especially when you've done them some damage in the first game the way we have. You know they're going to be a different version of themselves. To get any kind of result out of either game, I think was impressive based on the season that we've had. But I just think that the squad depth was a major issue. I think they were able to rotate, they were able to bring players in, and they swapped quality with quality. We couldn't do that, and I just think there was too many players who were too close to the edge, and he's had to make those changes, and unfortunately we paid a price for it. I might be totally wrong. It might be that he just wanted to do something different and rotate the squad, and if that's the case, I don't agree with it, because you've got sort of 10 games until your next match. So I'd like to see us go full hammer, and if you go out the cup with your best 11, you go out the cup. But I'm not privy to that information. I don't know if there were injuries or someone was close, or there was just a little niggle or a knock, or he just didn't feel right in training. I don't know the answer to that. But I think I would have liked to have seen Krejci start. If Sarr's fit, he starts. And I think if you are going to go out with your best team. But as I say, I don't know if there was anything else going on.
Yeah, it just seems incredibly unfortunate that all those players can't make it that night. And now they had almost 2 weeks off for the Brentford game being a week today. And then you've got like 3 weeks off. So yeah. I don't know. This is a really good point from Stillwither asking, was Rob asked about Krejci? I don't think he was. I mean, someone can correct me on that. I don't know, but that would have been a really good question to ask, because Toti's enthusiasm is fantastic. For me, he's probably one of our best one-on-one defenders. Not many people get past him. But then the other side of his game, he's a real concern, and I would include that being a real concern in the Championship as well. But is Krejci going to be there in the Championship? Probably not. I think he's done enough in a poor side, Nocky, that he'll probably get some suitors for lower league, Premier League, because I think he's looked someone that's looked comfortable.
Yeah, I agree. He's a quality player. He's too good to be in the Championship. And we should make a profit on him, which is going to be a very quick turnaround of a profit for a player that we've only signed a few weeks ago.
That's already happened once to us, hasn't it?
Yeah, but I think look, he's got to have a look at the squad at some point. He's got to have a look at the players. Do you do it against Liverpool? Probably not. But he also is going to have in his head who's going to stay and who's going to go. And maybe there's a thought process that I think this player can do a job in this position. The only thing I didn't really get was, why wouldn't you play Rodrigo if you're going to do a little bit of experimenting? Why wouldn't you maybe bring in players that you know are planning to be here next season? But as I say, I can't answer those questions. Krejci's the biggest one for me, because he's looked so composed and so solid this season, and he's definitely one of the best players that, performance-wise, for us all season. So the fact he didn't start in a game like that when he'd had such a good game a few days ago, he's a little bit strange to me. But is he carrying a knock? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a strange one, and I don't know if it was me as well. It just, on Friday as a whole, Nocky, I just didn't get that same vibe as Tuesday. And I thought it would be the other way around. And like looking at surveys and the way people talking about it, and I know we're split on here as well. And I disagree that you can't, because if you're in this stage of the Cup and you're a Premier League team, I think Wigan done it, Blues done it in the League Cup. If you don't have to be great, you just have to have a bit of luck and you can get there. I'd have just liked Wolves to do everything they could, and I don't think they could have. And again, I get your argument, but going back to my original point, Molineux just didn't feel the same. And I don't know if that's because Liverpool took control earlier on. I thought, oh, we're in a bit of trouble here. But for me, Nocky, for whatever reason, other than one bit of the game, actually, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but other than one bit, Molineux wasn't the same. And did you hear it differently to me? It just didn't feel the same. Tuesday felt like a real underdog and a roar and a get-together and everyone fighting and battling. It didn't feel the same. I don't know if it was a different fan base on Friday night. It just didn't feel the same.
But Molineux in the first half against Liverpool in the league wasn't great, was it? It was only when we started pushing in the second half and got the goal that you really heard Molineux.
It wasn't as quiet as it was on Friday.
No, I don't know. I mean, it was, Liverpool were different for me. Liverpool had more quality. They had a grip of the game. I think in the first half in the league game, they had the possession, but they didn't really create a lot, and you always felt like we were in the game. This felt different because they were pressing us, they were pushing us back, they were creating chances and opportunities. We were starved of any kind of break. I don't think we had a shot in that first half at all. It just felt a different game to me. You were kind of waiting for the first goal to go in, and as soon as that one went in, you kind of knew the game was over and there'd be more to come. So I think the whole situation felt different. But if we'd have gone a goal up, I'm sure you would have heard Molineux similar to it was when we, a few days earlier. So, but I mean, Molineux, he says there, Molineux seemed flat. I think it's been flat all season, hasn't it? And it's been difficult to get much of an atmosphere going because we haven't had a great deal to cheer. So I just think they were a different level to us. I thought they looked more dangerous. They were faster. They were more aggressive. They just looked a different team. And I think that took the steam out of us a little bit. And when you're waiting for the goal to come, it's hard to get an atmosphere going.
Yeah, the one bit on the atmosphere I want to talk about briefly, and I think this deserves noting. I want to talk about the old goal packs pictures here. Thank you for your usage guide and some fantastic shots. The tribute again to Jota. I know the tifo at the start of the season, which I can't lie, tears running down my face. I thought that was incredible. But this on Friday night I thought was fantastic. Knock it, and for the guys at Old Gold Pack to be sort of using local talent and artists and designers to produce these and then produce them. I thought that for me, again, it's a special moment, and it was a fair play. I mean, we don't credit Liverpool a lot, and we probably won't, but they were applauding to the rhythm of the Jota song. There was a special moment at Molineux, and that doesn't really happen with opposing fans very often. But I wanted to credit the guys that have done the flags, the Old Gold Pack, the designers that did them, and for that minute or two when the stadium was in unison. That was a nice moment.
That was really special, and it looked fantastic from where I sat. It just looked incredible. And
these pictures are great, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, the Liverpool fans were clapping along, and then we were clapping along when they were doing their song. Football's a tribal game, isn't it? But there's certain occasions where we'll all come together and celebrate the same thing, and that's exactly what we did. And it was brilliant because we were singing that together. We were clapping to each other's song, and then 5 minutes later, we're having a go at each other again. That's what football's supposed to be. But I thought this was quality, and the Old Gold Pack do some incredible stuff. And Jody Craddock did a few paintings as well, which looked absolutely phenomenal. I don't know if you've seen them. We've all come together for that one reason, but that was really nice to see, and that probably was the highlight of the game, in all honesty. And it looked, from where I was sit right by the North Bank, and it looked incredible from my seat.
Yeah, it looked fantastic. Credit to everyone involved. It's moments like that then. I mean, at any time, but moments like that make you proud, don't they? You see that, and what the club have done for Jota, particularly the fans and the Old Gold Pack with the tifo and these, absolutely fantastic. And you are right, it's football fans. They're insulting each other, exchanging insults, and I'm sure where you sit, Nocky, there's been a few insults exchanged, maybe a couple of hand gestures. I couldn't possibly guess what they are, but that's football, and that's what people do. But on moments like that, when there is shared grief of loss, of a tragedy, when a young life is lost, credit to both sets of fans for that. And I thought it was a really, really special moment. This is episode 159 of the Wolves Report with Mark Knock and myself, Ryan Lester. Tyler currently arguing with Adrian Durham on TalkSport. Enjoy that argument on Twitter. I think it's still ongoing. Knocky, one of the pointers I wanted to talk about tonight, and we talked about it last week as well, was Rob Edwards. Now, we had a really good chat, and I think I had splinters last week, sat somewhere on the fence. You were very much getting your Rob Edwards tattoo. Tyler didn't want Rob Edwards in the first place. So there's a real good argument amongst the three stooges there of what we think about Rob Edwards. But the question I wanted to ask, and I was really keen to get this on the comments as well, and you mentioned it on the group chat, why is Rob Edwards splitting the fan base so much? I think it's a fascinating debate because has he brought a bit of pride, and has he done well recently? Yes. Has he given us some good times recently? Yes. It's too little too late, but Wolves are further away from the relegation safety line than when he started. We probably did see our worst performance against Nottingham Forest, which we all agree was probably the worst thing I'd seen since us three played football together. But then you go 2-0 down to Arsenal, you get it back. You beat Villa. You beat Liverpool. It's such a confusing conundrum. But Nocky, just your take on why the fan base is so split.
I don't think I've ever known a manager to split the fan base the way he has.
He's only been here a week.
It's really interesting. Look, I think you kind of touched on it there that Tyler didn't want him in the first place. I think there's a lot of our fan base didn't want him in the first place, which creates a massive problem for him, because if we win 4 games and lose 1, everyone will focus on the 1 rather than the games that we've won, because we're looking for a reason to have a bit of a go at him. I don't think he helps himself. Some of his comments, and he made them after the Villa game about, oh, people don't like it when I smile, and there's always a little bit of a comment there, and I think he maybe comes across a little bit arrogant at times when he's being interviewed. So I think there's a little bit more he could do media-wise, just to maybe read the room a little bit before he says some of the things that he says. But in terms of what he's doing as a manager, I'm relatively pleased with what I'm seeing. I'm seeing an improvement. I never said that I was a huge Rob Edwards fan, but I understand the situation he's walked into. And I think when you look at the squad and you look at the results, there has to be a little bit of thought process around mitigation. Yes, we are further away, but if you look at the damage that had been done to these players and this club when he arrived, sitting on 2 points in November, I don't see how you can blame him for the situation that we found ourselves in. He came in at a time when we were absolutely on our knees, and I've seen improvements. We're picking up results. We've picked up most of our results with him being in charge. We look more difficult to beat. We've got a better shape to us. We look like a bit of a threat. I don't go into every game now expecting to lose. I believe that we can start picking up results. But I don't see this relationship ever working, because I think so many people don't want him here, that as soon as he gets something wrong and as soon as he starts losing a couple of games, fans are going to be all over him. And if we start next season and we win the first 6 games and we're flying and we're top of the league, but then we go and lose a couple, people want him out again, because we've got that mentality now that we think we should be doing better than Rob Edwards. I don't think the current format of this club tells us we should be doing better than him. I think that we are where we are. We're a team that's not going to go in and spend a load of money next season. If we'd love to go back to the Mendes days where we were throwing 15 million round for Neves and Jota and Willy Bolly and Helder Costa, Ivan Caballero, players like that. I don't see us doing that. I think the fact that we've signed the 2 players we signed in the window, Adam Armstrong and Angel Gomez, for me, that tells you what we're looking at. We're going to bring in British talent. We're going to bring in players who've done it, been there and done it at that level. So for me, Rob Edwards is the right man to do that. But I don't see why we would get rid now and then let's rebuild again and start from scratch. I think he's done enough to have a go at starting next season. And then if we're in a position in October, November where we're not where we think we should be, then they'll have a decision to make. But for me, I don't trust Fosun collectively to get it right if they get rid of him and go and bring someone else in. Because if we're being totally honest, they've got the Nuno appointment right. They got the Lopetegui appointment right, although it went sour towards the end. Other than that, most appointments have been wrong. Vitor, you could argue, was right for 6 months, and then he ruined us in the transfer window. So they don't get these decisions right. So it's a massive ask for me to go and get rid of him and start again.
Yes, some great points. This is episode 159 of the Wolves Report. Mark Knock and myself, Ryan Lester. Do you think there's an element of this? There's a few people said it, but Rick's mentioned it. It's a Jeff Shea appointment. No thanks. Now, I personally blame where Wolves are on Jeff Shea. Tyler would argue that we've had our best times under Jeff Shea, and that's correct as well. But I would credit as much George Mendes, that relationship of bringing in Nuno and bringing in Jota and bringing in Neves and all that kind of stuff. But Wolves, as you mentioned, Nock, you've been on an incremental decline for a few years. And for me, I'm not alone in the finger is firmly pointed at Jeff Shea. I think he got a lot wrong. I think he was allowed to carry on a lot longer than he's allowed to. Again, you could probably look at Fosun for that. But this was his last big move. This was the last thing that he did. Now, before he failed in trying to convince Gary O'Neill to come to the Wolves, after he'd allegedly sacked Vitor with a WhatsApp or a text message, I mean, that kind of behaviour just can't be acceptable in normal life, never mind at my football club. But this was Jeff Shea's last big stand, the big move. Now, was it on the art? Did he take some advice from those at the club? Because Robbie's a good human. I mean, I'm lucky enough to have met him a few times, played a couple of charity games with him. Really, really nice guy. Good history, liked around the club, experienced, level head, done all right in the Championship. Those things I agree, Nocky. But he'll unfortunately have that stigma of a Jeff Shea appointment attached to him. And I don't think some people are ever going to accept that. And I think that's one of the big reasons.
Yeah, I agree. I think we know how we feel about Jeff Shea, and Jeff Shea did kind of bring him in. But he's a manager who wants to be here. He gave up an incredible opportunity at Middlesbrough where they were probably going to get promoted, and he put the building blocks in to come and manage this football club. He wants to be a part of it. That's rare in this day and age. Normally managers are just looking for the next big thing when they're coming into a team like us. They want to use us as a stepping stone. He wants to be here. And I know someone put in there that he's got 3 wins all season. Yeah, he has, but that's 3 more than we managed at any point at this season. You know, we managed to get our first 3 wins under him, and we managed to see our best performances under him as well. As I say, I'm not buying or selling. If Rob Edwards left tomorrow, I wouldn't be overly bothered. It's not something that would affect me. The same as if he takes us into next season, I'm not overly bothered if he does that. I just think you have to look at us relative to where we are compared to where we want to be. We're not that top 7 team anymore. We're not the team pushing for Europe. We're not the team that's knocking on the door for Champions League. We're a team that are going to go into the Championship and have to fight tooth and nail to get back out of that league, because we've all been around long enough to know that that is a horrendous league to be in. And you have to fight and you have to graft Saturday, Tuesday. You've got to work hard. You need a manager who's going to instill the values you need to get out of it and have that experience. And I think he can do that for us. But I'm worried about whether we're going to ever have a relationship with him that we want, because I think we're always going to be looking for something to go wrong so that we can jump on that. So is it for the best if we do get rid of him and start again? I don't know. But for me, he deserves an opportunity. I think I've seen enough improvement to go from a team that I thought was going to finish on less points than Derby. I now think it's a team that could catch Burnley. So for me, I think he's done enough to warrant an opportunity at it next season with a full pre-season, getting his squad of players in and doing things his way, because he's been working with what he's had, really, hasn't he? He's been able to bring in 2 players. He's had to lose his best striker. And I know that the numbers don't show that this season, but he got, 15, 16 goals last year. So I think he's had to come in, he's coming in a really difficult situation, and I think he's made us better. So for me, he deserves a chance. Whether that chance lasts 3 or 4 months or whether it ends in tatters, I don't know. But in my opinion, he deserves a chance.
Yeah, the thing that really interests me about the Rob Edwards situation, and again, I think so we're going to sort of veering off somewhere else because I wanted to talk about why he's splitting the fan base. But the thing that I think is absolutely key for me this summer is who is doing the recruitment at Wolves. Now, Rob Edwards is the manager and the coach, and he's there for the tactics in the team, and he'll have the certain types of personalities and traits he wants. We've seen that Rob Edwards' team, he wants them full blast, everything on the pitch. Now, for me, that's a non-negotiable for any team, but they don't always play like that. But Rob Edwards has got them fitter, credit that. It's taken them a while, but he got them more organised. I would agree with that. But in the summer, who's doing the recruitment? Is Matt Jackson doing it alongside Matt Wild with consulting Rob Edwards about certain positions and players with experience? Or has Nathan rebuilt the bridges with Gestifute and George Mendes is back in town? Which is it? Because the big concern for me, Nocky, is Rob Edwards the man to be managing 5 or 6 Gestifute signings to get us out of the Championship like Nuno was? I would be concerned there'll be a conflict of interest here in terms of Gestifute, Fosun, Wolves, and they want to use obviously that connection. Gestifute are owned 15%, Fosun own 15% of there. So obviously it's in natural business interest for them to continue using them. But for me, that's a concern. And if Rob stays, if he does, I'll back him. But I think Rob needs to have a massive say. Not be given players from the Gestifute stable, hoping that the next Yacht or the next Mendes. They may well be, and that might be brilliant. I think Rob has a certain style of football, and I'm not sure 5 or 6 players from that stable who had no experience in this country are going to be ideal for the Championship, are going to be ideal for Rob Edwards.
I don't think we're going to have the relationship with Mendes that we've had in the past. I think the 2 signings we've made, Adam Armstrong and Angel Gomez, that tells you for me what direction we're heading in. And I think that Rob Edwards is going to have a huge part in deciding who we bring in next season. I do think he'll be a huge part of that. If we were to go down the Mendes route, then you probably have got to have a conversation around who's going to manage the club. But I've not seen anything that makes me think we're going to go back down that route. And Adam Armstrong is not a George Mendes signing, neither is Angel Gomez. So for me, I think it's going to be similar to what he did at Middlesbrough, bringing experience, bringing some players who've been around and done it, and try and build a squad that can be competitive in that league. I don't see us going back to the Mendes days, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, because if I was George Mendes and there's a new chairman, because the last chairman I had a relationship with, it gave Wolves the best years of our lives with mainly some fantastic up and coming Gestifute players. If I was if I was George Mendes and there's a new chairman who we'd fell out with at Wolves, I don't think they got on particularly well, I'll be straight on the phone to the new guy and saying, this is what I can do for you. Is Nathan going to have his own ways? Nathan is an experience in football. So does he listen to Matt Jackson? Does he listen to Grau because he wants to use George Mendes again? Because obviously Fosun own 15% of the company. I think there's a massive summer knocking. I think we're underestimating, because I'm sure Matt Jackson will be wanting to back his man. He wanted to be backing Rob Edwards, and them two will be working together now. How much of a say and influence is George Mendes going to have? And I know you say it's not going to happen, but why is it not going to happen? Why is it not going to happen? This is a new person in that position who potentially has the option to some great up and young coming players, but with no experience. I'm concerned about the summer knocker. I think we need to fully back Rob Edwards for the players he wants, or if we're not going to do that, we get someone different in. We can't have the best of both worlds. For me, it's fully back Rob Edwards with the players he wants, with the championship experience to do in his style and his ways. Or if we can't give him the players that he wants, we need probably a Gestifute manager to use those players coming in from Gestifute. Now, I'm not saying Rob should go. I'm just saying it concerns me. I don't think you can knit the two together. I think it's one or the other, and that's a big concern for me.
But Mendes didn't do anything for us in the last window, did he? We didn't have any George Mendes clients come in, which makes me think we're probably distancing ourselves a little bit from that.
Was Fer Lopez one?
No, in the January window, he got him out, but he didn't get anyone in.
Well, I think we were resigned, mate. I think the decision had been made that we were going to cash in, take our medicine, and pretty much accept. We knew that, but the transfer window said to me, Wolves have given up. But business-wise, that was probably a sensible decision, because we've talked about spamming 150 million quid and still getting relegated. I didn't want to do that and then being a financial mess in the Championship.
Yeah, I mean, it could well go that way, and maybe they'll have a decision to make about Rob Edwards. But when we had Mendes come in before, we were in a different position. We've been in that league for a couple of years. We were settled. We're now in a position where we're going to have to offload a lot of players before we start bringing them in. We've got some high earners. We've got players who just simply won't want to play in the Championship. So it's going to be a different window. We're not going to have the time to really work the way we have before. So whether that suits Mendes' style of bringing signings to and fro, I don't know. My head says it's going to be very Rob Edwards led. I feel like he's quite a strong character. He doesn't come across as a yes man to me. I think he's going to want to put his own spin on this and build his own squad. So I don't think we're going to go down that route again. It just feels like it's going to be Edwards and his way. But if I'm wrong, and we'll end up having to make a decision, because I don't think those are the kind of players that he would want to coach or would feel comfortable coaching. I think he's got a style of play like an Adam Armstrong, who is aggressive, physical, quick, plays the way that he wants him to play. I think that's the kind of signings we're going to be looking at. But it's an interesting one. I think whatever we do in the window, we've got to do early and we've got to do effectively. We can't be going into pre-season and still have Andre, Gomez, Tolu, Fer Lopez, players like that still on the books. We need to get those moves done as quick as we can, whichever route we're going. And we need to be getting into...
Unless Andre wants to stay, and I'll be very, very happy.
Yeah, it ain't going to happen. He's gone. You're going to have a Brazilian international playing the Championship for us. It's just not going to happen. So we'll lose. We know you could write a list of who's going to go, but we need to get those players out the door as quick as we possibly can for the most amount of money that we can. Get the signings in by pre-season and give Edwards a chance. We don't want to be in a position we were in this year where we're bringing players in quite late and then they don't blood into the squad in time and you end up losing your first 6 games and it's curtains from them. So whatever we're going to do, we need to do it quickly and effectively, and that's that for me is more important than whether it's Mendes or whether it's Rob Edwards. It has to happen quickly.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, I think Matt Jackson did say that in our meeting in terms of when the group of the fans of Fan Alliance met with him, he did talk about that. And I think that's the idea for every football club. But
they say it every season, though, don't they?
Yeah,
I mean, how many seasons have they said?
I don't think it's as easy as that, no, Knocker. I just don't, because the power that agents have and they're waiting for a better deal all the time, it's so difficult. But yeah, I agree. I really like that. Something that's interesting on the comments I've seen as well is in terms of, it doesn't look like it's just Rob Edwards. It looks like Matt Jackson splits the pack as well. Now, obviously, Matt's worked his way up. But again, I think this summer window, if he's allowed, again, to be the main recruiter, as it would be, will sort of dictate his legacy and his future as well, won't it, as well? And
yeah,
hopefully it's a good one. Again, that's something else that'll be conflicts, because if Matt Jackson's trying to lead it, but again, we're going down the Gestifute path. We've been doing this the last few years, and it's just not worked for me. It's one or the other.
The whole thing is really strange, and it splits everything. I mean, I'm selling Rob Edwards, but I'm not 100% convinced on him myself. And it's the same with Matt Jackson. You think he should have an opportunity, but I don't trust him either. But I also don't want Rob Edwards to go because I think he could be the right. It's just such a difficult situation, and at this moment in time, there is no right or wrong answer because we don't know how he's going to perform next season. We don't know who's going to be in charge of the transfers. We don't know the impact he's going to make. So if we do stick with him and it goes wrong, we've made the wrong decision. But then if we do get rid of him, we bring in another Bruno Lage or someone like that, and it goes wrong again, we're also wrong. So I don't think there is a right or wrong on this one. I think we're just going to have to wait and see. But your initial question about Edwards, I just think where we are at this moment in time, knowing where we're going to be next season, it makes sense for me to him to be planning it so that we can hit the ground running and maybe those transfers can happen quickly.
Well, the club, in reality, Nocky, should be planning with or without him. That should be happening already. You should be, if you are going to use Mendes, them conversations should be happening already. This is what we need to do. This is what we did last time. Can we replicate what we did in the Championship before? If it is Rob Edwards, these are the players that he wants. We should be doing that already. We're a team that's got a head start on everybody else in the Championship. We should be ahead of the game now in identifying targets and sort of getting the wheels in motion for that. This is episode 159 of the Wolves Report. As I mentioned earlier on, we are on 5 different social media channels. We're on X, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. We are on Instagram and Spotify. Spotify always load up later on. 3 of those come out live. Otherwise, drop us a follow, a like. It is very helpful for us to grow the show with your support on those. Time for a couple of questions, Nocky, before bedtime. Let's bring up a couple of questions. Let's have a little look. Carl Whitehouse says, do you think the Great Escape is achievable with the number of games left? And what team is the aim if we are going to do it? Now, is it achievable mathematically, Carl? Absolutely it is. Is it achievable in reality? To get me even believing to want to have that conversation, I'm going to need us to win the next 3 games. If Wolves win the next 3, Nocky, I might be tempted to have a conversation. But I watched Wolves on Friday night and I wasn't particularly sure that we're capable of beating anybody. But I watched them against Villa and I thought they were capable of beating anybody. And that's how fickle I am, and that's how fickle football is. Carl, it's a dream and it is an impossible dream. Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. Is it more likely that it's not going to happen? Yeah. I mean, I think West Ham look like the team that are in big bother. So I think you need to finish above Forest or Spurs to stay up, because Spurs look like they're finding a way to lose to everybody. I think Forest, I mean, they've just got a great result on Man City, haven't they? That shows, I mean, Vitor's having his 6-week manager bounce there, isn't he? He'll take him on a run. West Ham, God bless Nuno, I think they're in big trouble. I mean, they've reportedly taken out an absolutely whopping loan again today, and I'm putting it against the TV money. But yeah, to answer your question, Cole, I'm not going to get drawn into an answer unless you win the next 3 games. Knocky.
Oh, it's a massive ask, isn't it? I mean, we'd have to win. We've got left 8 games. Is it 8 games we've got left? Something like that. We're probably going to have to win 7. But then when you look at the fixtures, we've played all the top 6.
We're better against the top 6, Knock.
Well, and And that was my next point. As Tyler's quite rightly said, we can do it against the teams where we shouldn't. Can we do it against the teams where we should? I don't see any way that Wolves will stay up. I don't think we're capable of winning 7 games. I mean, it would have to be, it's going to have to be 7 games to stay up. I don't see us doing that. But it's nice to still be in the mix. I think, realistically, let's target Burnley. Can we catch Burnley? And then if we can we catch West Ham? I think you just go in incremental improvements. But realistically, now there's very little chance. And on with you. If we win the next 3, maybe you'd start looking at it then, because you could be within 6 or 7 points of it. But I don't think
if Wolves win the next 3, the media frenzy for Wolves pulling off the greatest ever escape will be absolutely wild. Yeah. People will be wanting Wolves to survive then, because it would be crazy. But we go to Brentford away, and Brentford bullied Arsenal at home, so it's a big ass knocker.
We'll probably get within 1 win of it and then lose to Burnley on the last game to get relegated.
That would be the most worrying. And I think I'd feel sick if that happened. I'd rather be relegated than having to suffer that misery. Carl, thanks as always for being part of the latest Wolves report. Great question from Steve Lees here. The squad is fully fit now with nothing to lose. What's our best 11 to get the wins and goals that we need? Great question. I think we can go through this quite quickly, Nocky. We'll be on the same page. Santiago Bueno sweeping. Jose Sarr in goal. Right centre-back, Matt Dorsey, joking. Right centre-back, Mosquera. Your face then.
I was about to leave then.
Nocky has left. Left centre-back has to be Krejci. Left wing-back, Hugo Bueno. Again, this will split people, but Jackson has to be our right wing-back now.
Last two performances, I think he does.
Yeah, I mean, he had the worst half of football I think I've ever seen in my life against Aston Villa. And he came out the second half like Cafu. You couldn't, the guy couldn't trap a ball. And the second half, he's confidence player. But he's our right wing back. I think at the moment, Nocky, with the way the Brazilians have been reborn in their partnership, it has to be João and Andre sitting together, with probably João going a little bit more advanced. I'd probably then say Bellegarde's probably in there with the 3. And then we go on to the top 3. How many got left? 2 left. It's got to be Marnie and Armstrong, hasn't it? Have we done it? We've dropped Tolu after me banging on about it. We've dropped Tolu.
I think if you don't drop Tolu, you've got to drop Bellegarde, and then you've got to go with Tolu up front. But then if you do that, you're weak in the midfield. So as it stands at the minute, I'm playing Bellegarde, Andre, Gomez, and it would have to be Armstrong with another with him. Mane's not been great the last couple of games, but he's the one player that's capable of a bit of magic. So I think Tolu starts on the bench.
Yeah, I agree. I think he does for now. But I think it's a great question from Steve. But I think there's horses for courses, because the impacts that Tolu had when he came into the team, when we went on to that 4 or 5 game and beat and run in January, his inclusion over Christmas at Man United and going from there, for me, that was a turning point, because Strand Larsen, I think Concept Scouting mentioned this. He's been misprofiled as a centre forward that holds up the ball up. Strand Larsen's a finisher. He gets in the box and score goals. He's not particularly good at the flick-ons or the knockdowns. He's not particularly good at holding the ball up. He's a finisher, whereas Tolu is someone, has his limitations, but he's somebody that holds the ball up, that can cause chaos, that gets you up the pitch. He's an outball. So for me, there's, as you say there, it's probably Bellegarde or Tolu, isn't it? Because you have to play Armstrong, because he's the ratter in the round everywhere. Mane, we've seen him what he's capable of. Horses for courses with those 2. But
I think as well, though, it's not just an 11 anymore, is it? I mean, it's a massive squad game, and you can see the way we played against Liverpool in the league game. You've got 2 different tactics. We wanted to hold in the first half, and then in the second half, we want to push on, and that's where your Tolu and your Armstrong and your Bellegarde come to life a little bit. So yes, you've got to find your 11, but it's not a game of just an 11 anymore. You need a competitive squad to do anything in this league.
Steve Lees, as always, thank you for being part of the Wolves Report Top Bloke. Bobby Smith says, am I a decent person for enjoying watching WBA games live on the telly internet? Now, Bobby, what you watch on the internet is none of my business. And there's not many things you could watch worse than Albion, but I'm quite confident that there are. So, Bobby, have a little word with yourself. Bobby, as always, with his curveball on the Wolves report. Want to finish the show off, Nocky, if I can stop coughing. Graham Cope says, our loan players, when they come back, who would you want to keep? Who would you want to keep, and who do you think we will keep? That's a good question. I have to get the loan players up so I don't forget them now. We can go through these quite quickly, Nocky. Nasser Jajiga, I think.
Well,
I think he's a sell.
He can't get in the Rangers team, can he? And it's, let's face it, it's not exactly a top league. That so he's sell.
I want you to give you the answer to this before I finish his name. Kiargiani Hoover.
Oh, sell him immediately.
Stinker. Nigel Longwick. We haven't seen a lot of him. I think he'll probably be another loan out. I think we'll see him. Alfie Pond again. I'm not sure we'll see him play for Wolves again, but good luck to him.
Doing well on loan, actually. He's doing quite well. So
Tommy Doyle's an interesting one. I think he has. Comment.
I'd keep Doyle. I think he's got a good range of passing. I think we're going to be light in midfield because I think our midfield's going to get hit in the summer. I expect Bellegarde, Andre and Gomez to go. So I think we're going to be really light in that area. For me, whether he's going to be a starter, I don't know. Whether he would want to come and not be a starter, I don't know. But I think he has got a little bit of quality. And if you can get players around him and let him run and give him a little bit of space to play, I think you'll get a decent version of him in that league. So I'll probably keep him.
I think he's someone I want as part of the squad. Because at the moment, our teams, Rob sets up, look like they're busy and they've got energy. Now, Tommy can run up and down, but he's not the particularly most mobile centre midfielder, is he? So I don't know where that's going to fit in with Rob's ethos, he's loaned him out as well. He's loaned out before Rob was here, but let's see what the club say about that. Marshall Manetzi.
No, he's got to go.
Scored in his last 3 games in the French league. He's flying.
I don't dislike Marshall, but there's not a chance now he's going to want to play in the Championships. He'll definitely be looking for a move. But yeah, he'll go. He's not going to suit that league. Yeah,
I'll be surprised if he's not signing a permanent back in the French league. But equally, again, played his part at the end of last season. Did that job that he was talking about, causing chaos, and freed it up for Strand Larsen. Another interesting one, Boubacar Traore. I liked Boubacar. I doesn't seem to have ever improved, but he looks to me like someone who has the engine and physicality that'll be like. I'm not going to quite say he's the same as Alfred and Dye because I like Big Alf, but that kind of big frame that can run up and down all day.
I like him. I'd be quite happy if he stayed, but I feel like he probably will move on. I don't think we'll keep him.
No, I don't think so either. I think they'll be suited because there's always talked about Tawanda Chirewa. I don't think we'll see him play for Wolves. Interesting one, £20 million worth of Fer Lopez.
I mean, I'd like to see him stay and play. I don't see there's any way that happens. So I expect they'll probably loan him out for another season. And then if we get promoted, maybe have a look at him then. If not, probably sell him. I don't see him playing Championship football. But I do think there's there's some quality there. And I think he'd do all right in the Championship, to be fair, but I don't see it happening. I think he probably goes out on loan.
Yeah, interesting one as well. Someone mentioned to me recently that Fer Lopez was a possibility of going to the Championship on loan. Now, I think that would have been better for his development and the longevity. I don't know how true that is. That's unconfirmed reports, but you would understand why a Championship player would want to loan a player of his quality. You've only got to see that goal he scored with the outside of his foot. For me, I'd have wanted him being blooded in the Championship, having half a season there and then be ready to play for us next season. So again, I don't think we'll see him play for us. And last but not least, Sasa Kalajdzic, when he wins the World Cup in the summer, he probably won't come back.
I love Big Sasha. I'd have him back in a heartbeat. But again, I think he's a player who probably moves on. I think he's very injury prone, and I don't think that he will suit Rob Edwards in what he wants to do. So I like the guy, but I think he goes.
Graham, thank you for being part of the Wolves report. Also, thanks to Bobby, Steve, Carl as well. Some great questions. A week tonight, Nocky. It's almost your bedtime, don't worry. A week tonight, Wolves go away to Brentford. Now, it says pretty much where we are at the moment, although it's a Monday night and it's a TV game, it's a small away end, and Wolves still haven't sold out. Now, what does that say about where the club is at the moment? Granted, it's a pain to get to on a Monday night. I don't think you can get home on the train, so we'll take that into consideration. Hopefully, it's sold out. But Nocky, what particular changes would you like to see happen on Monday evening against Brentford?
Sarr comes back in. Krejci comes back in. Probably go Armstrong. Well, I'll go the 11 we've picked if everybody's fit. Be Armstrong up front with 2 wing backs. Are going to be Bueno, Jackson, Gomez, Andre, Bellegarde in midfield, Mosquera, Krejci and Santi. I think it pretty much picks itself for what I think is our best 11.
Yeah, I don't think Tolu starts. I think Armstrong starts up front with Mane just off him. I think Bellegarde, the 2 Brazilians, and the rest of the team, as you say, pick itself. I don't know why. I don't know why Ladislav didn't start against Liverpool, and we know there's going to be, if there's an issue and Totti starts on Friday night, we know there's something going on there. I don't know whether he's looking at next season for it. That will be a concern to me.
Yeah, I mean, Totti's Totti, isn't he? I don't think he is looking at next season. I still think he feels like he wants to get results and points in progression this season. So I don't think that was why he didn't play. But yeah, I think Krejci comes back in. That's a no-brainer for me. So if he's fit, I'm pretty sure he'll play.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer for me as well. It is your favourite part of the show, Nocky. It is prediction time. Mark Knock, your prediction for Brentford v Wolverhampton Wanderers.
I have actually got a sneaky about this one.
Oh, here we go. It's what the people have been waiting for.
I haven't had a sneaky this year, I don't think, and I've got a bit of a sneaky. I'm going to go Brentford 0, Wolves 2.
Where's Wang when you need him?
I'm going to go Ladislav Krejci with the opener, and then we hit him late on with the break for number 2.
Running over to Rob Edwards like this after he's dropped one in. I mean, I can't be out-predicted for positivity on my own show, but I think I probably will be. I can't see Wolves keeping a clean sheet, but I can see us winning. I'm going to go with Brentford 1, Brentford 1, Wolves 2. Let's go with Adam Armstrong for his opener. I mean, he's here, he's there, he's everywhere, but everywhere in front of, apart from being in front of goal. So let's get him on target and Wolves, a nice Wolves away win. This has been episode 159 of the Wolves Report. As always, thank you to Nocky for joining us and being a massive part of the show. Thank you for Tyler to continually arguing with Adrian Durham. Check it out on X. Up the Wolves.